Yeah, Eric, I guess just without giving all the goods away, I guess just kind of what is the focus of the plan for Kessler and Jabari Smith, seeing as those guys are as skilled as they are and have such great size.
Good question. If you got any suggestions, let us know, Scotty. Obviously, Kessler, has such an impact in the game defensively with his rim protection and blocking shots. And then offensively, he does such a great job of rim rolling. They get a lot of lobs for him in transition. They get a lot of lobs for him out of pick and roll play. So we're going to have to make sure that our pick and roll coverage is both concerned with the ball and his role and their skip passes. I mean, this is the number one ranked team in the country for a reason. Overly talented basketball team with incredible size up front. And, so we're certainly, anytime you're playing a team that's got a center as defensive active as Kessler, and then somebody as talented as Jabari Smith and the potential number one pick in the NBA lottery, they present a lot of problems. I mean, we're going to have to play an A game just to be in the game. So we're going to, we got to cover a lot of different things. I mean, Green presents problems at the point guard position, and Johnson at the off guard position presents problems. And, preseason Flanagan was an all conference player. So, they present a ton of problems because of the talent level, the size, that this team has.
JD kind of had a little bit of an off shooting night last weekend, but I think it's fair to say throughout the year, he's been your most consistent scorer, been pretty good defensively throughout the year. Just what you kind of attribute that I don't know if it's quiet consistency, but man, he's just been pretty steady for you all year.
Yeah, I mean, JD's a guy that's continuing to develop as a player, is developing as a point guard. When we didn't have him against Mississippi State, it really affected our team. I thought it really, no one talks about it, and we haven't really mentioned, but he was not himself against Vanderbilt at all. We've gone back and watched that tape, and he lacked energy, and because he was still dealing with the ramifications of trying to get back healthy and get back in a quick way, which he did. So, but certainly he presents, us with a luxury and in some of the things that he does with his range, with his ability to make free throws. I think he's done a great job of shooting deep shots as well as scoring the ball, getting to the rack. So, he's a big part of what we do, without a doubt, Scotty.
Nate.
Yeah, Eric, does their depth force you to do anything different, play more players, or help have to regard their stamina as far as their starters?
No, I'm concerned zero with Arkansas stamina. I mentioned it the other day against Mississippi State. As the game wore on, we got stronger. So we're not going to change our rotation based on how another team subs. But certainly Auburn's depth is a concern because, Williams, number 2, was a big factor for them last year. I mentioned Flanagan and Cambridge. Those guys were, playing starter minutes and when you go down the depth chart of who you're preparing for and so on. I mean, there's a lot of really, really good players on this team with, like I said, great talent. So yeah, their depth is a concern as far as how we understand personnel tendencies, with so many guys that can have big games against you, because they have about 6-7 guys that could have, 20 points on a given night in the game.
Just with their size up front, you figure Kamani Johnson to be a factor in this game?
Yeah, I mean, Kamani's going to get an opportunity to play in the game, Nate, just like he did the other day. And then based on productivity as the game's flowing, we'll determine, all of our guys' minutes. But, Kamani did a great job on the glass. He's done a great job rebounding the ball for us whenever he's been given an opportunity. Obviously, Kamani's size, his height is, not what Smith and Kessler and Cardwell is, but he's an active player who does a really good job, using his quickness to be productive on the boards.
Thank you.
Bob,
Hey Eric, how you doing? Hope your shoulder's feeling better. Arkansas has only beaten a number one team once. It was 84 when they beat Carolina and Pine Bluff, and then they haven't played a number one team at home since 91 against UNLV. So pretty rare opportunity you guys have here, and you guys are playing well. The planets all seem kind of aligned properly. Just what do you feel about this opportunity as a head coach? How excited are you for this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't know. I mean, when you look at the roster, I don't know if you get really excited because you know how talented they are, and they're really well coached, and they're number one in the country for a reason, and they've won as many games as they have in a row because they've been beating teams, and they're really, really good. I think it's great for our fans. It's a great opportunity for our players. But having said that, I mean, you gotta have a semblance of stability. You gotta understand that there cannot be emotions up and down throughout the 40-minute game. I mean, you gotta be steady in your approach. You can't be distracted leading up to the game, and you got to be confident in your ability, but you have to understand that it's a 40-minute game, and really not let anything else enter your mind.
And then you mentioned Flanagan. He had the torn Achilles earlier and had surgery and missed several games, but now he's back starting. What have you seen from him? What do you think he does for Auburn?
Well, he's got great size and great versatility. They'll put him in some pick and roll actions as a ball handler. You're talking about, like I mentioned, a preseason all SEC player, a player that was on draft boards last year, even on mock drafts with the NBA, and he came back, and now he's playing with a lot of really good players, and so his role has changed based on the dynamics of their roster, and his numbers have changed based on again, their roster and coming back from an injury, but I think he's a great talent because he can do so many different things, and his versatility, really impressed every time we play Auburn with Flanagan's again ability to kind of play anywhere from the 1 to the 4 spot.
I don't know how much you studied teams in the preseason or summer, but I think everybody thought Auburn would be pretty good. They were ranked 20th or 21st or whatever. They've just steadily moved up. And they've got a lot of new guys, just like you do. From your standpoint, what have they done to put this great streak together and rise up to number one with a lot of new faces? Yeah,
I mean, I think it shows you that the polls, I mean, they're ever. I mean, we're playing really good basketball. We're not a ranked team right now. But I think when you look at their team and somebody like Jabari Smith's on your roster, and you have a freshman who's a potential number one, pick in the NBA draft, and is 6'10" and can shoot and defend and block shots and rebound. I mean, it's not a surprise, what they've done. And then Kessler is a guy that has played much, much better this year than he did last year. So the transfer, for Kessler has been really, really good. And I thought last year the competitive nature of Johnson at the off guard spot when he played at Georgia, he's a competitor, a guy that plays with great emotion. And then, both guards at that point guard spot, both number 12 Jasper and number 1 Green, those guys are both having really, really good years. And, maybe those were the two guys that, that have played a little bit better maybe than the outside or the average fan would have thought. When you studied both those guys, we felt like, when they entered the transfer market, those two guys were really good players. And obviously Coach Pearl and his staff did a great job of kind of foreseeing that those two guys would have an impact and a role. But they're both fearless guards. And so I think you add all that with the guys that they have returning in 22 Flanagan and 35 Cambridge and Williams, number 2 and Cardwell, number 44. Now all of a sudden you got a great team, which is what they have.
Okay, I might have a couple more. I'll turn back to Mike. Thanks, Eric.
Curtis.
Coach, you had mentioned maybe getting a little 3-ball happy in the first half against Mississippi State. Is that a concern at all against a team that has the rim protection that Auburn does? And then I guess, are there any adjustments to be made when you're attacking the basket? It's something you've obviously been really good at this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think we understand and have incredible respect for their rim protection and their ability to block shots, and they're gonna do a great job against us blocking shots and rim protection, because that's who they are. And usually when a team's really good at something, that doesn't just dissipate, it doesn't leave. So, but certainly there's some things that we have to work on leading up to the game in how our approach is against shot blockers, and hopefully little nuances that that our staff, having coached against NBA players that are shot blockers, hopefully we're able to give some of our guys some techniques against some players maybe that we faced in the past that are some of the world's greatest shot blockers, whether it works or not in a short time frame. It's not like we have 7 or 8 days to work on things, and playing on a Tuesday for not just us, but also for Auburn, it's hard to make a lot of adjustments when in reality, your only practice is today, Monday. So how much are you really going to get done the day before the game? And then when you play at 6 o'clock, it's not a 7:30 or 8 o'clock. We're 24 hours basically away from playing. And so we'll try to make some adjustments, just as, Auburn's going to make adjustments to how we play. That's kind of what happens going into each game. But certainly we understand that. I mean, we want to take threes, but we want to take threes when our feet are set and we get the defense scrambling, which is what we did against Georgia. We didn't shoot a lot of off the dribble threes, and we need to take threes when our feet are set and they're high percentage 3-point looks against everybody we play moving forward. We just don't want to uncharacteristically just jack up threes,
And is there, I know every game and matchup is different, but is there any benefit to both of you guys having played at Georgia last week when it comes to just preparation with Georgia being fresh on your mind?
I don't think so. I mean, our team is, just a different team than Coach Crean's team, and they play their style, and we're not going to really watch their tape and try to do what another team has done, because just the personnel is different. I mean, I thought Georgia and Coach Crean did it. Those guys did a great job with their approach, and but we have, we got to kind of stick to who we are, but also try to make, which we do every game, try to make some adjustments depending on who we're playing. So again, just no different than I'm sure, Auburn's going to, approach our game different than they did Georgia's game.
Hutch.
Yeah, Coach, Jalen Williams, I know it was a couple of years ago when he was in high school. He had a really big game, big performance against Walker Kessler. I know that was different level and it's been several years, but do you think having success against a guy like that might give him some confidence, extra confidence going into this matchup?
I mean, Hutch, I think that's a great question for Jay Will. Because I don't want to say one thing or the other and then have Jay Will be like, come on, coach. So I don't really know. I had heard about that game, but I wasn't at the game. I didn't see it. To me, it's completely irrelevant. I do think Jalen Williams is playing with great confidence right now, regardless of opponent. But again, maybe Mike can get you on the phone with Jay Will.
Randy. Eric, it's seemingly all about matchups. What kind of matchup issues does Auburn give you as compared with other SEC teams?
I got to get to practice in like 15 minutes, so I can't go through all of them, Randy. But I mean, I can start with the 6'10" power forward that's going to be, you know, in the top 2 picks in the NBA draft. So you don't play against that type of player, you know, every night. I mean, obviously, you know, we played against other lottery picks, and I know when we were at Nevada, we played against Markelle Fultz when he was the first pick, although he probably shouldn't have been the first pick, but he was. Jabari Smith, when he's the first pick, he should be, because he's got great size and can really shoot it. But I think that matchup is a hard matchup for Arkansas and everybody else. And then certainly JD Johnson is a hard matchup because of his ability to get downhill in transition, and he can make 3 balls, and he's really competitive. We've talked about the matchups of Kessler as a rim roller, or Kessler in the dunker spot when their guards get downhill. You know, and Green is a guy that obviously has the green light, and he's really confident. He's a high assist player, as well as a guy that's a high volume shooter or scorer. So a lot of problems that their team can present, and there's more matchup problems besides just those guys. But I'll just end it with those guys in particular, Randy.
All right, tempo. Do you see the team that maybe controls the tempo, controls the game?
Well, Auburn's really, really good in transition. You know, we've got to have good transition defense. You know, if they get out and run on you, it can be a really long night. So transition defense is certainly, you know, something that becomes really, really paramount for everybody that plays Auburn. And, you know, as far as tempo goes, I mean, you know, we have played a little bit slower paced at times this year, and we played fast at times. So, you know, maybe those adjustments will have to be made in game, depending how the game is going as well.
Bob, final question, please.
Eric, I know different teams, different seasons, but last year, you know, you guys rallied to beat Auburn down 19, and including that game since then, you're 33-7, and that's a bunch of SEC teams and NCAA tournament teams and Big 12 teams. I mean, it wasn't like you're just beating up on a bunch of, you know, lousy teams. Just what do you remember about that game in retrospect? How big was that? And what do you think about being 33-7 since then?
Well, at halftime of that game, you know, because if my memory serves me right, we had just gotten pounded against LSU, and then it became even worse in Tuscaloosa. And then we played a home game, and we were down, like you said, 19. That was the defining moment for our team last year at halftime, was how are we going to respond? Because it was not looking good after losing 2 games the way that we had at LSU and at Alabama, and then having Auburn come in here and just hand it to us in the first half and dominate the game in every which way. You know, we were able to regroup a little bit and, you know, started trapping Sharif Cooper. And I thought the resolve and the fight that our guys showed that game, you know, for the last 20 minutes of the game really set the, you know, tone for where we were going to go the rest of the year, which obviously one of the best or final 8 teams left. But that game was a defining game for us for sure.
And 33-7, that's not too shabby, is it?
No, I'll take that. I don't know if every, you know, all our fans would, but I'll take it.
I bet they would.
Let's go.
Don't tell anybody I said Markelle Fultz was, you know, that was an early, I can't remember who drafted him, but that was not.
It was the 76ers.
They didn't call us. They didn't call us because we had a guy named Marcus Marshall kick his butt, and they still drafted him. Remember, whiteout. It's really cool looking across at Bud Walton. We got some tents up already, some students out there camping out. That's cool to see. We got a lot of names on this thing too, but we got some silent voices out here. We should have taken some Auburn questions.